In any event, Larry, what I wanted to talk about, part of the measures that are being moved upon now is this national driver's license and national ID card as part of this, database thing. But is that really? I guess nobody has a constitutional right to fly in a plane or travel as an airline passenger.
Well, by the same token, the federal government doesn't have authority to to tell the states to go spend money on a program the federal government wants, but the states are going to be the ones holding the bag.
Yeah, well, they do it all the time. I mean, unfunded mandates are just, as common as the grains of sand on a beach.
Now, it would only take one state to, I think, collapse this whole drive, and New Hampshire's House actually voted for New Hampshire not to participate. The Senate balked. They may revisit the issue next year, but the directors of motor vehicles around the country are objecting on financial terms, as well as just the impossibility that they can see in preparing all of the licenses to comply with the federal mandates. The thing that concerns me is that this system is set up for abuse, and it would be extremely easy for your, say, Social Security number to be the indicator to go to various databases where your health data are, your educational records are, your financial records are. So you get pulled over by a cop, or you're applying for a student loan, or any number of other ways that we come into contact with the government, perhaps even on an almost daily basis, and some clerk who's hardly a sworn officer who arguably might be able to look at sensitive data, and they have a fairly high standard of responsibility for respecting the privacy of that data, and they usually are treated to some kind of discipline if they abuse that. But now you're talking about having just every old clerk being able to swipe in your card and, this is interesting. Oh, looks like you're getting a little gimpy there, doesn't it, Mr. Pratt? And you look a little behind on your bills, are you?
Yeah,
and,
sure.
So
and of course,
just be a completely open book, a piece of glass that they could look through anytime they want.
And easily corrupted these, civil servants for that information.
It seems to me that even if 99 out of 100 of them are treating it with the kind of respect that it should be, the fact that you give the opportunity to the other 1%, there'll be a lot of 1% because there'll be a lot of people handling all these cards and all this data. And the other thing that is in store for us is the authorization in the law. It's not a requirement, but at any time, the Department of Homeland Security could say, we need to have a radio frequency ID chip in the cards, and RFID is their...
Oh, yeah, global positioning, huh?
Well, it would be quite possibly that if it were that kind of a two-way communicative chip, but it certainly could have who knows how much data for a read-only basis, and the kind of chip that the State Department has begun putting in our passports since last October is hackable. Mm-hmm. So I can be walking into a country on a flight from, say, a European city, and somebody could be sitting or standing within 30 feet, and he would know immediately when an American, maybe one of his next terror victims, is walking by. Mm-hmm. We'd look just like any of the other Europeans, but he'd know because he could hack into our passport with that RFID. So but again, they don't really care because you don't care if somebody walks by and knows how many cattle you have, do you?
Sure. Well, the technology is there for that. Obviously, is ongoing now, and for as I mentioned, either communications or just global positioning. I mean, and a lot of people support this kind of thing, and for God only knows. But I was just wondering,
if they would like to have a butt put, a chip put in their butt, that's fine with me. But frankly, I think. Well, here's what I referred to one part of the anatomy, but people have had chips in high kidnapping areas like Mexico or other Latin American countries. They'll put a chip in their finger to start their car, so they don't have to have a key that somebody could take and,
Right.
and steal their car. Well, the criminals have figured that out, and when they see you don't need a key, they just chop your finger
Yeah,
off,
of course.
and away goes the car. So, I
Right.
really don't think
Literally hacking.
literally hacking. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And if people want to be hacked like that, well, you go ahead and have that RFID put wherever you want it. But as for me, I think I'll take a pass.
All right. Now, we got to take another break. My guest is Larry Pratt with the Gun Owners of America. And, I don't want to put you on the spot. I mean, I know that, your organization doesn't have all the answers. I mean, there's a lot of things we need to protect as far as our rights go. But I want to put the question to you, do we risk another 9/11 by not letting some of these things occur? But we're going to do that when we come back. This is Adult Content on WHDT. Hi, and welcome back to Adult Content. My name is Brian Content, and my guest is Larry Pratt, the Executive Director of Gun Owners of America. This organization has been in service for, about 25 years or so. Is that correct, Larry? Since 1975, I guess, right?
Actually, yes.
30...
It's now just gone over a little over 30 years.
I wanted to ask you, I don't expect, I mean, you have to defend the Second Amendment. That's part of your obligation. But do we risk another 9/11 by not letting some of these measures go forth? I mean, do we need to draw the line somewhere? Can we allow some movement by our government to try to protect us? I mean, where do we draw the line?
Well, I would like to think that the government be required to be politically incorrect and that they be required to profile. Now, right now, you've got people in the government that are absolutely steadfast against that. Well, they're wrong. And if this invasion of privacy concerns us, it's really up to us to make it an issue when people are running for office, particularly for the United States House and the United States Senate, certainly the presidency, but that's not for another couple of years. This is the time, and these are the folks that we need to be talking to get the point across that, sure, go after the bad guy, but don't look at the American people as if they're the bad guy. I think we can figure out that's not really the case.
Yeah, and one of the services on your website, gunowners.org, is a report card of lawmakers in the House and Senate as to how they vote on issues such as Second Amendment rights. And I think it's well worth checking out, especially as midterm elections approach, to find out where your representatives stand on these important matters of constitutional rights. I think it's important that we, in talking about this, that we discuss the reason why the Second Amendment was written to begin with. And, I touched on that with you briefly, but, from your standpoint, the right to keep and bear arms was no accident being put into the Constitution, and there was very divisive debate on this matter too. I mean, it wasn't easily included so much, but consensus was reached, and in the end, it's a protection for us.
Well, if we look at the key word in the Second Amendment, which also is used in the main body of the Constitution, the word militia, I think it really helps us understand what the founders had in mind. For 150 years as colonies, we had a uniform legal legislative history of what the word meant. And in every place and in all that period of time, militia meant that all the men had to be, unless they were an enumerated exception, such as a preacher or a doctor or whatever, they had to be in the militia. They had to show up for militia drill, and they had to bring their own military firearm. And that, I think, is where we very quickly come to realize that the protection of the right to keep and bear arms is something that is inherent to having a militia. The militia concept is that the people have their own guns, and they have military firearms. When the country was organized as a republic, shortly after the Bill of Rights were ratified in the Second Congress in 1792, they passed the Militia Act, and that act did the same thing the colonial militia laws had done, required that you had a military rifle, required that you be in the militia, and that you keep that rifle and your ammunition at home. Not in, the government had nothing to do with your maintaining your armed
Right.
status. That was your. They didn't look at it as a right until they used the word in the Second Amendment. They looked at it as our obligation. Their idea of gun control in colonial America was to sometimes they would go door to door, just like Bill Clinton did.
Larry, I have to stop you. Unfortunately, we're out of time, but I think what we're getting at is that in the end, being able to maintain our own militias and have the right to maintain and bear arms will, in the end, give us the opportunity or choice to keep our country in the hands of its citizenry if need be.
Absolutely, and any gun control law that works against that is unconstitutional.
Thanks again, Larry Pratt, for being our guest on Adult Content. All right, that's going to wrap it up for today's show, and we will be back here again tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. Until then, stay safe. I'm Brian Content. We'll see you again tomorrow.